Hello everyone, this is Carlos from Midwestern Marks. I hope you are enjoying the audio. I did a little bit of splurging for Christmas and bought myself a $7 mic. So I'm hoping this investment helps those comments that are usually aimed at the audio quality of my videos go away, at least for now. But on a more serious note, I want to talk to you about a theoretical misunderstanding that usually takes place when people espouse dialectics, and specifically dialectics' relationship as a logic to old traditional formal logic. Now, the problem here stems from an understanding of the role of contradictions in dialectics. The dialectical outlook understands that things are composed of opposites, that the world is in constant change, everything is composed internally of opposites, and the contradiction at play there is what moves everything, right? Whether it's nature, social life, ideas, it is contradictions which lead development, which bring about change, and that's something that is the only thing that's constant. The only thing that's constant is change. Change is brought about by contradictions, and as is usually the case, change brings about growth because the development of, say, a new idea incorporates within it the best parts of the old one and eliminates some of the contradictory or unhelpful aspects of the previous one. And this is the law of the negation, that the new concept, the new form of social life, the new process in nature that takes place is usually a higher form of reality, something much more richer, which incorporates the best of the old and takes it with it to a higher level in the new. This sometimes is interpreted as being incompatible with two foundational laws of traditional logic. The first one is the law of non-contradiction, which is also maybe kind of contradictory, also called the law of contradiction, sometimes called the same name, but instead of law they use principle. And then the other law, which is the law of the excluded middle. The first law, the law of non-contradiction, says that, for instance, I can't both be doing this video right now and also not be doing this video right now. So A can't both be A and not A at the same time in the same place. So under certain conditions X, A can't both be A and not A. This is the law of non-contradiction. The law of the excluded middle says that under these conditions, where an either or is presented, there is no middle point. I can't, if I say I'm either doing this video right now or not doing this video right now, there isn't a midpoint there. There isn't something I can say, no, I'm doing both. No, there isn't a midpoint. There's an either or situation. And you know, it's often misinterpreted that the focus that we have on contradictions and the role in the process of development means that we reject these two laws. And the reality is that we don't, right? What we reject is how these laws have been used and applied to different fields, so that when a contradiction is encountered, the argument is considered as wrong, and that argument is rejected and they go to a previous point that was more comfortable. When a contradiction is encountered, say in the process of unfolding an idea, whereas the old logic would just reject the idea as wrong, what dialectical logic would do is two things. First of all, it would show how that contradiction arises as the making explicit of something that was already implicit in the term you were dealing with. So if you're dealing with, say, the term of causality, and you, after questioning it continuously, you encounter a contradiction, say how, you know, we think of causal relations as linear, but they're really reciprocal, right? The effect also helps make the cause a cause. Once you encounter a contradiction, what the dialectician realizes is that contradiction isn't simply a mistake that's brought about through a fault of your own in unfolding the argument. I mean, that could be the case, right? That's never left out as an option. But if your argument is correct, you can still encounter a contradiction because it's the natural, imminent process of making explicit something that is implicit in the concept of cause. So, for instance, we're using here the example of cause. implicit in the concept of cause as it first appears as a sort of just basically linear relationship is already that contradiction, that what appears as the consequence of the cause is also the reciprocally something that lets the cause be as a cause, something that the cause presupposes in order to be as a cause. So when we encounter that contradiction after continuously interrogating the concept, what the dialectician says is that that is the making explicit of this immanent, of this implicit relationships within the concept, these opposing forces that exist in a unity within the concept that show themselves when we continue to interrogate the concept in the form of a contradiction. Now, logic, traditional old logic, would have just rejected that. Dialectical logic says, no, we have to continue tarrying with. That's a concept that Hegel uses very often. He says you have to tarry, things have to tarry with their opposite. You have to continue tarrying with this concept, engaging with it, and eventually develop a new concept. And that new concept is supposed to encapsulate that process that you went through in the previous one, that process of trying to resolve that contradiction by understanding how it makes itself explicit, and by understanding how it is that you can cut the parts that are unhelpful, retain the parts that are helpful, and elevate them into a new unity. So when I present it like this, it is a distinction from the old logic. But why is that? Well, that's simply because we're looking at the world in its process of movement. When we analyze movement, we see that contradiction rules. And when we see that contradiction rules in movement, we reject the either-orism and we reject the principle of contradiction, because those principles are valid only in the case of static examination of phenomena. So, as in the case of whether I'm doing a video right now or not, this is a relatively static question. Right now, right here, am I doing a video or am I not doing a video? Since the framing of the question, the framing of the inquiry is static, the principle of non-contradiction and the principle of the excluded middle applies. But within my doing of this video right now, there's the potential of the opposite, which is me not doing this video. And if I examine my activity within a span of time, within its natural movements, within change, which naturally takes place within time and space, what I would see is that the activity I was doing at one point turns into its opposite, me not doing a video. And this is how we analyze contradictions, right? Within me was the potential of both doing a video and not doing a video. And dialectics is the sort of logic that applies here when we look at things in their process, when we look at things in their unfolding, when we look at things as they change. And again, we see change as the most universal and the most static thing in the world, right? Change is constantly happening. But at certain times, it is important to sort of bracket things out and try to examine them as they are static. And this is something that sciences do a lot, that mathematics do, and they prove themselves helpful for specific fields, right? If you're in a courthouse and someone is asking, where were you at this day, at this specific time, and you say, I was both here and over there, I don't care if you're in a court in China, which prioritizes contradiction analysis in every sphere of society. They're going to consider you not a great dialectician, they're going to consider you a liar, right? Because you can't both be in the same place and at the same time in two places. That is a physical and a logical contradiction. So we don't reject traditional or old logic. We reject its application to the natural, transformative, and changing process that composes natural, social, and mental reality. We, in a way, sublate old logic, we incorporate it within us, but leave it in the role in which it works, and in the role in which it doesn't necessarily works, that's where we apply dialectical logic. And that process of understanding where it is that formal logic works and where it is that it doesn't work is also a process of the unfolding of an immanent potential in formal logic, or in the development of a dialectical understanding of the world. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was clarificational. I tried to put it in as simple concepts as possible, because although these ideas are kind of difficult to grasp in the realm of of thought, I think it is important to bring it down to the level of to bring it to the level of the concrete, to show the plethora of factors that are behind things. Because remember, the concrete isn't just what's immediate. The concrete for us in the dialectical tradition is that which contains the most amount of determination, so that which contains the most amount of factors behind it. When we understand all of the factors behind the thing, we understand the thing concretely, right? To understand it abstractly is just to grasp it how it is. So I hope that this helped you engage in the process of having a more concrete understanding of what dialectics as a world outlook is, and of its relationship to old or traditional logic. Thank you, and see you.